What up fellas, welcome to my channel, Paulie down in the building. This video is called What I Learned from Studying Abroad in Germany, France, Denmark and Eastern Europe. And I have been studying in all these countries because I have done 3 exchange semesters during my lifetime, and these exchange semesters gave me a lot of experience and basically a lot of knowledge about how different universities in different countries are operating. I must say this, that I'm going to be comparing only one university in Germany, one university in France, 2 universities in Denmark, and 1 university in Slovakia. So be please really aware that I know that I have not experienced thousands of universities and you have so many different universities. I just have my perspectives from these type of universities, just from this number of universities, just 6 or 5 or how many is it, whatever. So be aware that this video is highly subjective and it's not objective at all. This is just from my experience and what I experienced when I was studying at these universities. So we can start with the first one, and the first one was Germany. If you want to study in Germany or Austria, you basically have to choose between Fachhochschule and university. University is highly theoretical university where you're learning a lot of theory and you're not learning so much practical stuff. But on the other hand, you have Fachhochschule or Hochschule, and this type of university is called kind of like a practical university. So you're learning the most practical stuff that when you're going to graduate, you're going to be basically ready for the market. And I was studying at this Fachhochschule and it was a really great experience for me. One thing that I would like to just point out that I really noticed is that my Fachhochschule where I was relatively strict. We also had like a little bit higher standard, so I can understand that. But even though people say that, oh, these Fachhochschule, these practical universities are much easier than the theoretical universities, still the practical university, Fachhochschule, was relatively difficult in my opinion. And you definitely couldn't just like lay around and do nothing and pass the exams. That was not really the case. Even for the exchange semesters, Erasmus exchange students, I noticed some people actually failed the exam because they have their standard and you need to stood up to the standard. Why I think, how I think it was that definitely I think it was strict, but I also would say that the teachers were very helpful in my opinion. And whenever you had a question, they were very open to help you. And also during the consultation hours, if you are not sure about the topic, if you were supposed to hand in the assignment, the teachers were always very welcome to your visit, and you can discuss anything with them. So it was very nice, and I really liked the approach. So I cannot say any bad word about my Fachhochschule in Germany. So the standard was relatively high. It was strict, but they taught me a lot, and the teachers were excellent. They were also having a lot of experience actually from the real world because they were working in a real, let's say, I was studying kind of like finance, and also it was a finance university. So I was studying a little bit of finance, and all these teachers had a lot of experience. So very nice, but a little bit tough. So be aware. The next approach or next university where I was studying was in France, and France was completely different from Germany. Much different, and I never even like realized how different these cultures are, German and French. One thing that I would like to say is that also French people are not the young people are better in English, definitely, but most of the people around don't really speak English. So if you want to go and study in France, it would be nice if you have some kind of like basics of French so you can like get around. And I was taking, I think, like for 5 months French. Je suis one trajon, or I don't remember. Sorry for my, yeah. Je ne veux pas nettoyer. I don't want to clean. That's what I was talking to my roommate who was French, so that was kind of funny. But from France and from the French university, my experience was that it was much more relaxed compared to the German university. So I definitely had really good teachers, and they were actually really focusing on the practical thing, and we had a presentation about the real world scenarios. So I would still say that they are a little bit more focused, they are still focused on the practical knowledge, not so much on the theory. And what I would also say is that when we had some exams, the requirements were not so strict. I remember that the teacher said that you are supposed to hand in the paper 5 to 7 pages, for example. And then I had my classmate from Germany, and she was asking like how many words per page, because you can have different fonts, whatever. And the teacher was like 5 to 7 pages, and she was like, but how many words per page? And he was like 5 to 7 pages, and she was like, but how many words? Like what is one page? One page can be 100 words, one page can be 300 words, whatever. And the teacher was just 5 pages. You figure it out. Don't worry. Relax. It's all fine. Just 5 pages. Send me 5 pages and all good. So that was actually really, really interesting. A little bit funny for me. And yeah, everybody passed. It's just you needed to hand in 5 pages minimum. So that was actually kind of chill. So definitely more relaxed, and definitely not so heavily structured as in Germany. But still, I had a really good experience, and I was really satisfied with the level of education in France. But I would say definitely it was easier than in Germany. But still, I would say that the teachers were really nice and really good, and they were also they were having quite a lot also practical knowledge from the real world. The next one I would like to discuss is my Danish university/universities, because I actually studied at 2 universities in Denmark, and one was for the exchange semester, and then I went to Denmark to do a Master of Science in Information Technology. So the whole 2 years I was studying in Denmark. And why I think Denmark was so good is because they are really open to new ideas. Whenever you are discussing something, a topic, and you come up with a suggestion, and your suggestion actually makes sense, the teacher is very welcome to hear you out, and you can always provide a valuable feedback on how to improve. And that's why I think the Danish education is so high, because they are always listening to the feedback, and they are constantly improving. And that's what I really like, is that not everything was just like boxed into something. Like if you had a topic and you were looking at the topic from different perspective, like it was welcome, and you can be providing a lot of different approaches to this type of topic. So that's what I really like. And definitely I would say that the Danish education system is easier, or the universities that where I was studying were easier to pass the exams than, for example, in Germany. But I still had quite a lot of assignments. So I was not stressed when I was studying in Denmark, but I must say that I definitely had quite a lot of assignments that I had to hand in, and I had quite a lot of deadlines. So I literally had to write down my deadlines in a calendar, so I know when I'm supposed to be writing what. So I actually can manage all of it. So from the free time perspective, it was taking some of my free time to write these assignments. But at the same time, I was also working in a Michelin star restaurant where I was having a part-time job, and so I was still working during my studies. But I would say that maybe that's why I didn't have so much time, because I needed to actually write the assignments, but I also was working part-time. So I would definitely say that the quality of the Danish education system is very good, really, really practical. This is what I like. Real life scenarios, and that was very valuable for me. Really open to new ideas, and also quite heavily structured, but in a good way. So I was very satisfied, and I had a really, really good time. Good. And the last one that I'm going to be talking about is my university in Slovakia. I did my whole bachelor in Slovakia. So for those who don't know, it's a small country in Eastern Europe. And my experience in Slovakia was that it is getting better. But what was the main problem with my studies in Slovakia is that a lot of subjects were basically very, very structured in a way, were overflowed. Let's say in this way. We had, for example, an exam from economics, and for exam from economics, you were going through the chapters, but sometimes you didn't even finish the chapters because the chapters were just so huge. And at the end, the teacher gave us like a book of like 500 or 600 pages, and she basically said that this is going to be the exam. Just study the book, and you're ready for the exam. And that was basically just too much. And I would say that we were heavily focused on just too much theory. So a lot theory, but a lot of theory. And basically the exams are not going to be so focused on your skills, but they are going to be focused on how much you can memorize in most of the scenarios. Of course, it depends on the exam on exam to exam. Let's say that if you're having an exam from programming, if you're going to be programming in C or whatever, or in Python, you are going to be, you need to understand what you're writing, and you need to write the code, and you need to basically understand it. So it's not so much about just memorizing. If you want to have a programming exam and you're just going to be studying 2 days before the exam, I don't really think that you can pass. You need to be kind of like learning it along the way and kind of understand the structures. You need to understand the variables and all this type of goodies, all this type of good stuff. So definitely it was just a lot of information that we had to learn, and basically after you pass the exam, you forgot a lot of it. And it's getting better, but I would like that a lot of countries that are focused so much on, or education systems that are focused so much on learning and teaching a lot of theory, they would focus more on the practical knowledge. I understand that. Let's assume that you want to be working as a scientist and you're going to be writing scientific papers. In that case, I guess it makes sense that you would be learning a lot of theory, because you're going to be kind of like working within this field. So really theoretical. That's what I like about Germany, is that they are separating between Fachhochschule and the university. So you can choose between the practical university and you can choose between the theoretical university. So this is one thing that I really like. But in Slovakia, it was in a way that it was just, most of it was just theory, and a lot of theory. Definitely I learned some stuff that is used also in the practice. I cannot say that, but I would say that like the courses could be like 70% less information, and just focus on the things that really matter. I remember that when I was studying some like information technology subjects, like informatics 1 or informatics 2 or whatever, I remember we were focusing on some like technology from like 1990s and like 2000s, and I was baffled, because we are supposed to be focusing on the technology that is now. We are supposed to be focusing on React. We are supposed to be focusing even on Angular, for example, or basically topics that are going to be more appropriate for the current times. We are not supposed to be, heavily invested in what was in 1990s. I understand that you would have some kind of like overview, but that was kind of like our focus for the whole subject. And I never heard during our studies about something like React or Angular or some frameworks or something that is more modern. Even like the digital architecture of the software. That is so important for a young person who is going to be working within the IT industry. You need to understand that there is some front end, there is some back end, some databases, some primary keys. Just you need to have a overall understanding of the of the architecture, and this was just not so much there. We definitely had something, but overall my conclusion was a little bit too much theory. There was some good information, but not so much information was so practical. And at the end, I can definitely understand that the students from this type of university, or from my university, they definitely can get employed, definitely, and all of them has. Just, I would say that it was just quite stressful for me because the amount of information was sometimes really quite just too much. And if you would ask me like 1 month after the exam, like what was this, you just studied it 1 month ago, I have no idea. Literally, I just don't remember because I just memorized it for the exam, and that was basically it. So that's how it goes. So thank you very much for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. It's a little bit longer than I thought. Please leave a like, leave a comment, ask me something. If I'm gonna see some really good questions, I might make a video responding to these questions. And that was basically my experience from these universities, and I really had a blast on all of them. And it was a really good experience, an eye-opening experience for me to see how different universities from different cultures are actually operating, because otherwise I would have no idea. So that's why I'm really thankful for the Erasmus exchange semester program, and it really opened my eyes, and I'm just so thankful for this opportunity. Good fellas, thank you for watching. See you in the next one. I'm out of here. See ya.